Before I start the meeting here, that we did start this session of the committee a little bit late because there were some technical issues, so please, we apologize for that. And I'm going to go ahead and call to order my committee, which is the Zoning and Land Use Committee, and I'm going to call it to order at 7:04. Okay. Now, my first bit of information comes from the docket of December 1st, 2015. And this is a motion from the docket of December 1st from the Municipal Council. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to rescind vote number 23, as this vote is no longer needed and will allow these funds in the amount of $459,250 from Fund 8455-59900, which is the stabilization fund, other financing uses, to Fund 3539-499000, which comes from EOEEA, which is the environmental organization, Wilmarth, other financing sources. And this is to be returned to the stabilization fund in relations to the land grant program to purchase a conservation restriction on 57.68 plus or minus acres of contiguous land, which is located on Wilmarth Street for conservation and open space purposes that are to be set aside under the stewardship of the Conservation Committee, as this vote is no longer needed because the city was not awarded the grant.
Second.
And who was that? Is there any discussion? No discussion.
I'll just make
Discussion? Yes.
one point. It's unfortunate that didn't come together. That would have added to a big tract, would have made a big tract of land bigger. It's too bad it didn't happen, but maybe it could happen in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, seeing that there is no further questions or discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, then the motion passes. And seeing that this concludes the business of the zoning committee, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? No? So we have a motion to pass, and we are adjourned at 7:07 p.m. Thank you so much.
We can skip it, he's not he's not in town.
No, I know, I am gonna do, I have business, but you can go ahead and do your.
Is anybody canceling tonight?
That's fine, I'll go.
Is anybody canceling the meetings tonight?
Still.
Okay.
Transportation and traffic is canceled for tonight. Pleasant reminder, I do have two public hearings next week. I am reporting, in Vice President Denley's absence, I'm reporting for the Committee on Licensing. I call the committee to order at 7:08. My second there. Okay, from the docket of January 19th, 2016, I entertain a motion to authorize the city clerk to amend the 2016 State Line Auto Brokers Incorporated Class 2 license by adding, quote, storage spaces 55, end quote, to the Assessor's Plat 3, Lot 66 description as a clarifying amendment and without holding a public hearing so that it is consistent with the language contained within the 2015 license. Just need a second. Sorry. Second.
Yeah.
Is it you?
Rick.
No,
That's
it's either Rick or Denley.
Second.
Thank you.
I'm thinking.
That's okay. So, we received information, Attorney Casey came in front of us. Hey, Jay. Attorney Casey came in front of us last week or 2 weeks ago and just explained that what he perceived to be a clerical error with the 2016 application from State Line Auto Brokers, they left off the 55 storage spaces. I'm sure you remember our conversation from 2015 when that took place. To ensure that this, and he asked that we make the corrective changes to the license without the necessity of holding a public hearing. So I spoke with Doug Semple yesterday. He doesn't have a problem with it because it's still consistent with their 2015 license, and the assessor's plat, that all of that is still the same. I also sent an email to Mr. Mangiarotti just to make sure that we didn't have to hold that public hearing, and if you'll allow me, I'll read his response. It says, I understand that State Line Auto Brokers Incorporated is asking the council to amend its Class 2 license to include 55 storage spaces as part of the licensed premises. The 2015 license, the 2015 license included the 55 storage spaces, but the 2016 license does not include them. I have reviewed Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Sections 58, as well as the city ordinances. In my opinion, the council may act on this request without the scheduling of the public hearing. The council has the right to ask the licensee for any additional information it may need to make its decision, but if the council has sufficient information, it may act in the ordinary course without any further participation by the licensee. Mr. Mangiarotti. So I think this is, it's pretty clear. If Doug doesn't have a problem, if Mr. Mangiarotti doesn't have a problem, we had significant discussion during their license application in 2015, so I don't think it's really necessary for us to have to haul them in. Any questions or additional commentary? All right, I will move for, all this will do is allow the city clerk to amend the Class 2 license. I will move for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. There we go. Wrong one. Looking at transportation and traffic, and then I was looking at you. All right, that is all the business for the Committee on Licenses. I call for an adjournment at 7:11.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:11. Thank you very much.
I'd like to call the Capital Improvement and City Development meeting to order at 7:11. I have no business to bring before the council, the committee this evening, but I would like to welcome Councilor Cooper and Councilor Reynolds to the Capital Improvements Committee. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm looking forward to working with you this year. We do have a busy year this year. We will be doing a capital improvements plan from the ground up this year, which means not only interviewing each department head, but in cases where we have issues or questions, we'll be doing field trips to departments. And of course, all the other councilors are welcome to join in at any time. We do have a challenging period coming up in capital improvements and city development, both in the Water and Wastewater Enterprise Fund unit and in the School Building Commission division with the upcoming $40+ million high school. That'll be done in phases, and if either of you or any other councils have not had an opportunity to read the Massachusetts School Building Association agreement, I highly recommend you do. It's an incredibly eye-opening document. I attended the Municipal Building Commission meeting on January 6th, and I will be attending the Building Commission meetings throughout the year, and you're welcome to meet with them as well. In fact, all councilors are welcome. The next meeting of the Municipal Building Commission is February 3rd at 5:30 in the annex room next door here. They have a very heavy agenda with the DPW building and the Water Department building and the water tank development project, which I want to review with you in a moment. And I have brought with me a device that I hope that I can show you and the people at home. I'm using a small little project to test out the technology because we got some big babies coming down the pike. First, let me tell you about the DPW yard, the DPW storage and maintenance facility, which is a little behind schedule. The existing DPW yard will be demolished hopefully by May 1st. And the schedule for that is moving right along on time. The delay has occurred with the steel erector for the new DPW yard that has put them almost 2 months behind schedule. Naturally, there is a clause where the city gets compensated for that delay, and all that work has started. Everything else, however, seems to be going along very well on that project. So you'll see that it's nearly weather tight, and they have completed the water and the sewage and the drainage, and all that work has been completed. And the building, they've been trying to put it on a recovery schedule to try to pick up days, but there's a lot to be done. So the building is nearly watertight right now. In this storm, there's very few areas where the ceiling has openings. And there's been very few change orders since we began the project, and everything looks good. The DPW salt and sand sheds are already there. And moving on to the water storage and maintenance facility, that building was delivered December 21st. It's in pieces. It's like a erector set, and they hung all the steel. It should be substantially complete by May 6th, which is quick. So the building has some infrastructure issues with some existing pipes that they didn't know were there, that they need to figure out how to get around to get the water and sewer into the building. But beyond that, it's doesn't look like it's going to be delayed. The animal shelter is now substantially complete. They need to buy a little additional furniture and a sign or two, but that is essentially done. The Oak Hill water tank rehabilitation, however, is something that I want to show you. So I'm going to move. The Oak Hill water tank project is not just the Oak Hill water tank project, but also some work to be done on the water tanks over by Wamsutta School. The Ides Hill project tank is the big one. That's the one that's going to get all the work. And this diagram that I'm about to show you is on the Ides Hill water tank, which we can get this open. There we are. This is a top view of the Ides Hill water tank, which they're going to open up the top, and they're going to re-epoxy the inside walls, which have flaked and pitted, and they're going to remove sediment from the bottom of the tank. But they're going to install this unit in the very center of that circle, which is a pump-driven circulating wand that will fill the tank and cause turbulence in the tank as it's being filled. So that will spin around the circle while the tank is filling, and the tank is almost constantly filling. The issue is that in the summertime, the warm water rises to the top and the cold water sinks to the bottom, and in the wintertime that's reversed, and that's a bad situation for trying to keep water at a high quality. So what this will do will stabilize the temperature of the water in the tank year-round. That's a non-mechanically driven item. It's driven solely by the water power being pumped into the tank. And on the next slide, I will show you, I gotta go over here too. Excuse me, I need to get closer to see the screen. This will be alleviated with my new glasses. In addition to the Ides Hill tank, of which they're going to be repairing the pitting, they need to install a few items into the tank to meet the current codes, and this is an exterior little trapway, and this right here on the bottom is another small modification. But in Ides Hill, they need to put in some new, you'll see right here, well, let's see if we can get that This is a side view of the Ides Hill tank, and you'll see that they are putting in some peripheral devices that are going to improve the safety of the pipe, and then in addition to that, they're putting in these hangers, which are part of the maintenance process, and here you can see they're putting in new electrical conduit running to service the pumps. And I blew by one slide that I wanted to show you. That was right here. This is a new overflow device that has a built-in air gap. So there is a few minor modifications happening at Ides Hill, at Oak Hill, but there's a lot of work the majority of the work is being done at Ides Hill. And we're using one owner's project manager, OPM. You're gonna hear that word again and again and again. We're using one OPM for the two. This is the $50,000 we approved in the last council that takes care of not only the design work, which we're looking at right now, but also takes care of the monitoring of the work as the work takes place, protecting the city to make sure that the work is perfectly done and meets the standards of the project, and can be turned over to the city in an approved manner. So the reason why I wanted to show you these slides tonight is because by showing you these slides here, I'm hoping, and I'm going to be watching this week to see how well I can see them on the internet. Because the thinking going forward that as we do building projects, rather than Barry and the mayor coming in with these sheets of paper that no one can see on television or no one can read on the internet, by doing this and putting it up electronically, not only will you be able to see it at home in your high definition television sets, but you'll also be able to see it on the internet, freeze the frame, and blow it up and read the type, which I think is very important for the public. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for your time, and I'll return to my seat and conclude my meeting. Committee members, Cooper and Reynolds, do you have any questions about the projects that I've discussed tonight?
I would just ask, can you email that?
Absolutely. That is a digital file that can be emailed, yes.
Okay, super, great, thank you.
And it will be in the possession of Ken, our administrative assistant, so the members of the public may request copies of the electronic documents as well. Yeah, I think it's a big improvement, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy we're finally using that device.
Me too.
Yeah. Any other questions from the council? That concludes the business that I have to bring before the committee this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. All in favor? Aye. I declare the City Capital Improvements and City Development Committee adjourned at 7:22. Thank you.
JD, love them. It's like deja vu. All over again. All over again. It is, kind of. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Public Works Committee to order at 7:22 p.m. And my committee members are both here. Ms. Higney, Ms. Hall. I have 3 items that I'm going to discuss this evening. First, from the docket of January 19th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to appropriate $387.76 from Fund 8502599000, Special Purpose Stabilization Fund Reserve for Plant, Other Financing Uses, to Fund 610-499000, Water Enterprise Fund, Other Financing Sources, in order to close Fund 8502, Water Enterprise Fund Reserve for Plant. Second. Thank you. This came down last week, not last week, your last meeting. It came in from the mayor's office and from City Auditor Deborah Gould and City Treasurer at the time, Ethel Sandback. This is a stabilization fund. The final payment from the special purpose fund was made part of the fiscal 2016 budget process. The interest income that accrued to the fund remains in Fund 8502. Therefore, we just need to transfer this over. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. That motion passes. Thank you. And from the docket of August 21st, 2012, I entertain a motion to strike the following item from the docket of August 21st, 2012, that the drainage problem on Sullivan Street at the alleyway behind Moncoux Restaurant be resolved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? No, not all in favor yet. This has already been resolved. It's already been fixed, so we're just striking it from the docket. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I also have something in my docket. It was to solve the drainage problems in and around 86 Dexter Street. This came in October of 2014, and I gotta guess that it's been resolved, but I just wanna double check with Public Works before I strike it from my committee. So I'll bring that back out at our next committee meeting. Okay, great. With that, if anybody has any questions, any other discussion for the Public Works, then I will call the Public Works adjourned at 7:25 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. We are adjourned at 7:25, and I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the regular time. No, we don't do that yet. We don't do that till next week, right? Oh, thanks.
Who's next?
Me?
Could you call it right now? Is it? I office in the early meetings. I'll fix it, but it's been fixed. So if you just say, those technical problems, so we just found that out. Thank you.
Okay. At the sake of being repetitive, we have really now truly honestly fixed the technical snafu. It's fixed. It was, there were intermittent, there was problems with the voice and the video feed, but it's been, I understand it's been fixed. So, again, at the sake of being repetitive, we're on. I'd like to call Personnel and Human Services to order, 7:26 p.m. Quite a few things on the docket. From January 19th, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $3,250 from account 11241000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer, to account 161010000-532010, public library tuition and books, to reimburse a library employee for tuition and books who has been approved to take courses for the spring semester.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor Blair. We did get a communication December 21st from Joan at the library telling us the details, but it is in the contract that we would pay up to $4,000 per year. Any other questions?
Can I just ask a small you don't have to have an answer for me today, but I just have a quick question. Is it in the contract to pay them prior to them taking the class or at the completion of the class?
Sure.
Just because we had this, thank you, Mr. Shannon, this one before in a committee that we just handled, and remember, I was holding it, and then Joan got back to me and said, no, because of the contractual obligations, we disperse it to the trustees and then the library, and then they reimburse. They're not getting the money before they pass the class, but I only know that just because it came down before, so
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
And it is here, reimbursement shall be contingent upon the employees obtaining a satisfactory grade in any such course according to the standards of the institution and submitting evidence of such satisfactory completion to the director.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions, comments, problems? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. I entertain a motion in accordance with section 1-2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the following donations. A donation of $3,490 and various gift cards from Veteran Services as gifts to the city of Attleboro. $820 from the Attleboro Elks, $60 from Quellier Insurance Agency, $200 from an anonymous donor, $725 from American Legion Auxiliary Post 312, $300 from the Holiday Spirit Committee, $300 from the American Legion Post 20, $200 from Disabled American Veterans Chapter 91, $100 from Jean Blanchard, and $785 from Alpha Delta Kappa.
Second.
Thank you. Counselor Jackson. It's pretty self-explanatory, but what I will say is thank you to all those entities for the generous donation totaling $3,490. This is, again, another example of our community coming together to help those in need. Any other questions, comments, problems? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes, thank you. I entertain a motion in accordance with section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro to approve the mayor's request to accept the donation of $375 in Stop and Shop gift cards to the health department from the Holiday Spirit Committee as gifts to the city of Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you, Council Blair. Again, this is a $375 donation from the Holiday Spirit Committee. This is directly to the health department and their Stop and Shop gift cards. And again, it's another example of our community coming together to help those in need. Any other questions, comments, problems? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of December 22nd, 2015, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to establish an assistant treasurer position to be placed at grade 8 on the city's classification plan.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Blair. The, O and B both sent down a communication to us, and the long and short and the Reader's Digest is it's an internal transfer / promotion, and it will be, this person will be moved into this role, and we won't be backfilling that position that is in the communication from Owen. Relative to that, there was also job duties and responsibilities, and for the new counselors, I will read just a few snips of I won't read it in its entirety. After review of the current makeup of the city treasurer's office, it was observed that there is no formal backup to the city treasurer. This vital position should have proper coverage in case of absence for operational continuity and execution of critical city duties. To address this issue, the position of assistant city treasurer should be adopted. In the absence of the city treasurer, for example, the assistant city treasurer would be able to direct the processing and issuances of accounts payable and payroll checks for the city and school department. This and other official functions of the treasurer's office would be maintained under the assistant's direction. This was something that Ethel spoke to us the last budget season, the budget one before that, probably the one before that, and probably the one before that, but I don't remember, but I certainly remember at least two. And so I think that, again, and I will get into the monetary piece a little later, but it's a separate motion. But just to also give you some perspective where grade 8, what other like positions are in that classification. Senior Information Systems Technician, Assistant Collector, Assistant Treasurer, Public Health Nurse, Assistant Library Director, and Accounting Supervisor 2. Just to give you some perspective on other positions that are in that grade. Any questions, comments? Yes?
Thank you for going over that, and I just want to say, I support this position. This was brought down when I was the chair, and one reason I just want to explain something is, I've said this on the floor before, and I know Councilor Conte has agreed with me in the past, is when something is brought down and through a communication and then voted on, a committee meeting and a whole meeting in the same night, it's a little rapid. The council should have proper time to discuss. Even though it was brought down in 2008, we knew, well, maybe a year, 6 months, that this treasurer was not seeking election. This should have been brought down well before when it was brought down. So I don't want anyone to think that I held this in committee for any other reason, except that I have said this before, when we vote on a committee meeting in a whole council, it's sometimes too rapid to pass through something when it should have been proactively brought down 6 months well before. We knew Ethel was leaving. So that's all I have to say is I support this position. I think it's very prudent. As you said, Ethel has stated before she's allowed to go on vacation, or the treasurer might not be there, and we need an assistant treasurer. So I do support this, so thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Conti.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm not on your committee, but I would like to tell the public that I support this position, and I am not in support of some of the other personnel things that you'll be addressing a little bit later on. The reason why I'm in support of this position is because of the function of that job. The treasurer's position, an elected position, has the ability of, tragically, someone with little municipal experience getting into the chair of treasurer. And if that were to happen, the standard and the operations that the state requires the city to follow in the treasurer's position is massive. The Department of Local Services and the Bureau of Labor Management at Beacon Hill spend a tremendous amount of time with the treasurer and other officials, all of the managers in city government, in the central core administration, to get them up to a certain level of competence so that the reporting, the financial reporting to the state is in compliance with the way the state wants the reporting done. This has led to specialized education in both the treasurer's position. I think the clerk is dealing with it now as he is learning his role as a new city clerk. Certainly the assessor goes through it, I know that personally. And so do mayors, and so do other auditors and controllers. So I want the public to understand that the position of treasurer has become very specialized. It's a very special education where there's certification and classes that must be taken to be able to meet the standard of the state. And that in this case, the city is well served by having an assistant treasurer that will be an employed position that can sit next to and assist an elected treasurer. Even if the treasurer sits in that chair for 20 years, it's a benefit to the city of Attleboro, and therefore it has my complete support, and that completes my message.
Thank you, Councilor Cunty, and I do believe that the person that would be selected for this position has gone through some of the training that you speak of, and Ethel has actually said that to us at the last meeting, and much of what you said is in the job description and duties that was sent as part of the memo from Owen Depot. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, so I just want to state a small fact here, because I do concur with what Councilor Conti and Councilor Pegney said, but, you know, this did come up many years ago, and the reason is because Ethel had, as our treasurer, had health problems and was taken down for quite a period of time. And there are certain things that happen up there that you are coded for. And if there isn't an assistant, then no one can get into the certain types of programs or monetary issues that are taken care of up in the treasurer's office. So the reason that was initially even started by Ethel, who never really thought about it until she got ill, and she was advocating for it quite strongly because she knew no one could do the job if she didn't, one, get the training that that person deserved, so that they could do it. But then she couldn't assign anybody the job because you had to get the pay scale approved first. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a back door kind of thing that you have to do before it could actually happen, and it's a shame it's taken so long, and we're fortunate that no one's been injured or hurt or come down with any other kind of serious illness. So I think it's long overdue, and anybody that has questions concerning it, you know, should consider that, you know, health is not something we can regulate. Sometimes things just happen.
Any other questions, comments, problems? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, motion passes. So, keeping the same theme, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to transfer $1,491.88 from account 1124100-578 300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1145100-511000 Treasurer Salary and Wages to cover the salary for the Assistant Treasurer position for the remainder of fiscal year 2016.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. This is the difference in salary that's required for the position for the rest of the year. Any questions, Comments, problems? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I am going to hold the request to transfer $24,000 for the capital projects administrator position till I have a chance to meet with the mayor and with Owen about that. And I will do that before now in the next committee meeting, and we'll discuss it at that time. Next, from the docket of December 22nd, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to transfer $478 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 11451000-574120 Treasurer Bonding to purchase a municipal official bond for the requested Assistant Treasurer position for the remainder of fiscal year 2016.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. So, again, I have a, probably one of the last ones she wrote, from Ethel requesting the transfer to get the municipal bond that's required for the Assistant Treasurer position. Any questions, comments, problems? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye, motion passes. From the docket, excuse me, I'm sorry. I am going to, there are 1, 2, 3 items on the docket that I plan on discussing with the Council on Human Rights, and I will be going to their next meeting and or reaching out to the chair of that committee and to move forward with those 3 items. And then lastly on the docket from June 3rd of 2014 and also from January 7th of 2014 are the amendments to the personnel rules and regulations regarding tuition reimbursement that Mr. Conti brought in. I don't know where the other one came from. It's not listed on here. But I think, I'll talk directly to Councilor Conti and Councilor Hegney about what the ultimate goal was. I know what it was. I was here, but what do we see now as being necessary, and what should we do with these 2 items and get them cleaned up and off the docket. So that concludes the business for Personnel and Human Services. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. We are adjourned 7:41.
6 motions or 5 motions? Okay, that's what I thought you had said.
Okay.
Yeah, good,
The
thank you.
others I held.
Right, I didn't, just I didn't have the one in the bottom. Okay.
It's very difficult at this time not to say call Public Works to order after 16 years. I'd like to call the Committee on Public Safety and Emergency Management to order, and I'm looking forward to working with Ms. Hall, and Mr. Delicio is coming here. I think it'll be a great committee, and it'll be interesting to move on, for me especially. So thank you. I have 3 motions this evening. From the docket of January 19th, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to approve expending approximately $14,460 received from Emergency Management Performance Grant from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency to improve our emergency management capabilities by procuring a 2016 Polaris all-wheel drive utility vehicle, and any future grant amendments by the Attleboro Fire Department to be used for emergency management related activities.
Second.
Second. This is a grant that we will be able to meet with no money, city money, by using cash match provided by a percentage of the salary and benefits provided by the city for the position of Fire Chief Emergency Management Director. Therefore, the grant will not require any additional city funding. It's just another piece of equipment that during an emergency, we can get in the woods, bad weather, we can get around, get down that street that isn't plowed. It take care of a resident, so it's not something that's gonna be on the street every day, but that piece of equipment will be available in emergencies. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Rich.
I
You looked
will-
that way, you weren't fast enough. Go ahead, Rich.
Does the fire department have a trailer to be able to transport this from one location to another?
I would imagine so. I think I've seen a trailer over at,
Does the Polaris all-wheel drive utility vehicle capable of driving on the street, or does it have to be
Yes.
licensed?
yes.
So it does not need a license plate?
I do not believe it does.
But if I
Excuse
may,
me,
I would
Mr.
suspect it
Lee.
would. I know a couple years ago, we looked into ATV usage, and
Yeah?
part of the state, I believe it's gonna come with its own license, which will be separate from what the city is, but it will be registered with the state, is my understanding.
Similar to a snowmobile or off-road vehicle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, my committee. Yes,
Blair,
Mr. Cooper.
The police department has several of them, I believe 2 of them that they use. You often see them plowing snow in bigger storms, they have plows on them. And so I'm sure whatever they have to do, this one will have to follow the
Suit.
same thing. In terms of a trailer, I think you just get on it and drive. If you know, they do have them over there, but if it was something local that close by, they could get on it and
Get there.
especially in an emergency situation where roads were closed, flooded, this, that, and the other thing, so.
If necessary to move it, Mr. Cooper, I'm sure that throughout the city, there's ample trailers, or
fire
some
apparatus.
of these are even, ability to go up in the back of a pickup truck with a
Right.
couple ramps, so.
Yeah.
Yes, Ms.
Can I
Hall?
just ask a question? So there's 3 of these vehicles right now that we have available to us in Attleboro, is that correct?
The police department has, I believe, 2.
Okay.
But-
Do they put them in different areas? Or are they, to maybe,
Now, the police department actually uses them to clear some of our sidewalks uptown during a snowstorm. So they're multi-use vehicle.
Other than-
They're not a regular patrol vehicle, Julie, that would be out there in a normal patrol status.
thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of January 19, 2016, I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to transfer $33,500 from account 112410000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer to the following accounts: $12,500 to account 122010000-558320, fire foul weather gear; $9,000 to account 122010000-558310, fire uniforms; $12,000 to account 122010000-530104, fire medical consultations; to provide new hire 12 firefighter/paramedic recruits with required uniform items and protective equipment.
Second.
This is, I know it's a large amount and it seems, but this is a normal procedure when we hire either police or fire, that we're required to provide them by contract and for their safety with certain uniforms, equipment, and the physicals, of course, to make sure that they're physically capable to come on board, not only for their safety, but for the security of the city, that we're not bringing somebody aboard that has a pre-existing condition that will cause a problem later down the line. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, although, I looked right at you, you never
You
waved. Go
kinda,
ahead,
I was
hon.
like, I know that also that I'm not on your committee, but this has been a long time in coming, and I couldn't be more in support of hiring of these new firefighters. Please stay. We need you to stay in Attleboro. Once you complete your training, we really need you to stay. We can't, on Thanksgiving we had a closed fire station because of staffing. We have a huge fire, overtime budget. This will help kind of knock some of that stuff out. So I couldn't be more enthusiastic and supportive of the hiring of these new firefighters. But I'd please just stay. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perico. Also, as you know, I've always pushed myself in the public safety end that we start hiring some local people, even if they're not paramedics. That we have a mixed group coming on. And we get into a program where we train some of these firefighters for that paramedic situation, because I am, like you are, Councilor Perica, we hire local, the tendency is they stay with us. We've seen it in the past where we've been short, we've hired paramedics from a distance away, and as soon as something opens up in that area, and you can't really blame them, they move back where it's more comfortable for them. So I'm looking forward to this tremendously. Yes, Mr. Constable.
So that brings up a question. If we open the door to hire firefighters who are not yet paramedics, and they become employees of the city of Attleboro as firefighters, and they fail to become paramedics, does that put us in a situation where we don't have what we wanted?
I really don't think so, because I would hope that we start looking at conditions of employment along the lines when we bring people on. I've been an advocate of that along with some of my other councilors, that we don't sign people on without some type of condition of employment that they have to stay a period of time, or they have to acquire a certain license or a certain stability. I think that's not entirely up to us. I think it's up to both administration and personnel department, but I know I've talked to them about it, and I'm pretty sure that this is something they're looking at too. And we get into union problems, and
Yeah, I want you to know that I support you on that position.
thank you.
Because I think if we make it conditional on employment, that they will meet these goals, and they have a certain time period to get there.
And
I
if
find that very acceptable.
they don't, and they move on to another community, that community either picks up our funding,
Correct.
or that individual has to pay it back. I think it's only fair. There's a lot of jobs out there that there are conditions of employment.
Correct.
And I honestly think that this is one we should look at. Yes, Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Blair, my last meeting with the fire chief and with the mayor, both of them committed that they had been working on a program for just as you described. So there is something in the works for, there's some, I wouldn't describe them as barriers, but there's some things to discuss with the union, and from what I understand from both of my meetings with them on that, the union was in support of making some changes to, or allowing for exactly as you described. So I think that it's all good, and they are moving toward that.
And I would hope myself, not to cut you short, but myself, that the union would go along with that, so they get some continuity with help. And the help gets to know the city in town. You have somebody on Union Street and doesn't know where Pine Street is, and no fault of their own, but it's time we start hiring more local, and I think this is the way to do it. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I entertain a motion to approve the mayor's request to transfer $25,000 from account 112410000-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer, to account 122010000-524260, fire major vehicle repairs for engine 10 and ladder 2 vehicle repairs. Do I have a second?
Second.
This particular item, If I go down to our backup, both engine 10 is out of service. It is presently a certified repair facility undergoing major pump repairs. These repairs are expected to cost approximately $15,000 unless additional damage to the pump is discovered. We do not expect the repairs to be completed before January. Ladder 2, that's the American LaFrance, is out of service at a certified repair facility because a radiator has failed and must be repaired. We have scheduled additional necessary repairs to the apparatus since it will be out of service for an extended period of time. We anticipate these repairs will cost between $5,000 and $10,000. In order to facilitate these repairs, we have utilized internal funding transfers and entered the necessary purchase order requisitions to authorize the work and return the apparatuses to service as soon as possible. Because of these unanticipated expenses, we will deplete the fire department major vehicle repairs account to a level that will not be sufficient to maintain our fleet for the remainder of FY 216. Therefore, they're requesting that the $25,000 be put into the vehicle repairs account to replace those funds and improve our ability to maintain our apparatuses for the rest of the year. So the money has already been allocated to these repairs by internal transfers, but it's time to replenish that account so if something unexpected comes up, we have the money to do it. Comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. There's a couple other things on here, but I'm gonna go over that with Mr. Cooper. And we will talk about that at our next committee meeting. Entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:56.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 years.
I was out of the room checking some technical stuff. Did all the committees that haven't met, did they announce that they had canceled? I know at least one did.
Ordinances, elections, and legislative matters is canceling. However, I do want to say, we do have a couple things that are still in the committee that we'll be vetting, and I want to bring out over the next couple weeks, but I just want to make sure that we give it the proper attention before we bring it up.
Okay, thank you. Any other council? You canceled?
It's a wrap.
Ken, did you cancel? Oh, yes, okay, good. Thank you. Before you leave, just check with Ken. I want to make sure he has all the motions, as he always do, but the other thing is, he used to have to check, he just wants to make sure that the contact information that he has for you is correct. We've been working the last couple of days to get all the information together for a couple of things that we have to send out. So if you've changed your phone number, or you decided you don't want to use a certain phone number or whatever, whatever the case happens to be, just touch base with Ken before you leave tonight, if at all possible, okay?
Okay, great,
Thank you.
We're adjourned.
All done, it's 7:57.
It's never happened